I've always believed in minding my own business. Live quiet. Respect the land. Don't stir the pot. But the day the HOA fined me for something I had every right to do was the day I stopped playing nice. My name is Jackson Cole. I'm 46, ex-military turned wildlife conservationist, and I live on a quiet 10-acre property outside Pine Hollow, a picturesque community tucked between two ridgelines where peace comes with a price tag. I moved here for solitude. My land backs up to a thick forest, and for over 6 years I hunted deer, managed the ecosystem, and kept everything clean. No neighbors complained. No issues. Until the HOA got a new president. Her name? Clarissa Davenport. Real estate agent by day, control freak by every other waking moment. She ran Pine Hollow like a miniature kingdom. Lawn color? Regulated. Mailbox size? HOA approved. And hunting? Apparently, that was a violation of community values. One morning, I found a bright pink envelope stuffed into my fence gate. Inside, a $2,000 fine for unauthorized hunting activity within proximity of community recreation zones. I laughed out loud. Community recreation zones? My land wasn't under HOA jurisdiction. Never had been. I made sure of that when I bought it. Till I walked over to the HOA office to clear up the mistake. Clarissa was there, all pearls, posture, and passive aggression. "You must be Jackson," she said with a smile so tight it could have cracked glass. "We're really trying to preserve the peaceful nature of Pine Hollow. Hunting sends the wrong message." I handed her my deed. "Clarissa," I said, "this land isn't part of the HOA. You can't fine me for what I do on private acreage." She barely glanced at it. "Proximity matters. The hiking trail borders your fence, and families walk their dogs nearby. We can't have gunshots scaring people." I stared at her. "So, your solution is to fine a man for using his own land legally?" She blinked, unapologetic. "It's not personal. It's policy." I left before I said something I'd regret. But in my head, I already knew how I'd respond. 'Cause Clarissa had made one huge mistake. She assumed I was just another quiet country guy. Someone who'd caved to the pressure. What she didn't know. I'd spent the last 6 months in negotiation to buy a large and used section of land that ran parallel to my property. Land that just so happened to include the community's favorite hiking trails. Paperwork cleared 3 days later. Clarissa's fine? It wasn't just illegal. It was expensive. And I was about to make her feel the cost. 3 days after Clarissa fined me, the land deal finalized. I became the official owner of 63 acres of wooded hills, including Pine Hollow's favorite local gem, the Bluff Trail, a winding, scenic hiking route that HOA members treated like their personal park. The irony? That trail was never HOA property. It belonged to a private family that stopped maintaining it years ago. Community just assumed it was public because no one stopped them. Until now. I filed the deed transfer quietly. The previous owners, 2 elderly brothers, were happy to part with the land for a fair price. They even threw in the logging rights. Clarissa had no idea. Not until the weekend when hikers started texting in the community group chat. "Hey, there's a new fence up at the trail entrance. Anyone else see the private property sign on Bluff Ridge?" That Sunday morning, Clarissa showed up on my doorstep. Her face was pale but angry. "Did you buy the trail?" I didn't invite her in. I just nodded. "Yep. It's private land now. Closed until further notice." "You can't do that," she snapped. "Actually," I said, holding up my deed like a trophy, "I can. You wanted to control my property with your fine. Now I control yours, or at least what your community treats like theirs." She tried to argue. "That trail is part of our identity. Families use it every day." "Then you shouldn't have tried to find the man who borders it," I said coldly. "You made it personal. So now I'm just returning the favor legally." Clarissa threatened everything: lawsuits, zoning boards, petitions. I didn't flinch, because I wasn't breaking any laws. I was just enforcing property lines, something she should have respected to begin with. That afternoon, I posted laminated signs at all trail entrances. Private property, trespassers will be reported. Temporarily closed for rehabilitation and safety review. I knew exactly what would happen. The HOA blew up. Residents emailed. Some begged, some demanded. And Clarissa? She tried spinning it as environmental restoration that she initiated. But that lie didn't last long, because a local hiker posted a picture of me installing the signs, with the caption, "This guy owns the land now, and he's not happy with the HOA." Clarissa looked like a fool, but she hadn't hit bottom yet, 'cause 2 days later her HOA board turned on her. And what they revealed? It made her fine look like pocket change. Started with an email, short, direct, and unexpected. Subject line, "Need to talk." Off the record. From Paul Whitaker, HOA Treasurer. I almost deleted it. But curiosity won. Paul wasn't someone I'd ever interacted with. Mid-50s, mild-mannered, always in the background during HOA meetings. Kind of guy who carried a clipboard and nodded a lot. He asked to meet in person. Said it was important. We sat on a bench near the community mailbox station, public space, neutral ground. He was nervous. Real nervous. "I'm not here to defend Clarissa," he started. "I'm here because some of us didn't know what she was doing." I said nothing. Just listened. "She filed that hunting fine without board approval," he continued. Said it was a gray area, that the trail gave her jurisdiction. But when she found out you bought the land, she panicked. I raised an eyebrow. Panicked enough to do what? Paul took a deep breath. She used HOA funds to hire a private contractor, tried to fast-track a trail reroute through an adjacent property. She was trying to build a new path around your land using our money. I blinked. That legal? Not even close, he muttered. She didn't put it to a vote. No approval. Just snuck it in under land beautification expenses. But one of our board members flagged it last night. "And you're telling me this why?" I asked. He looked up, face heavy with guilt. "Because we're done covering for her. And because if this comes out in court, I want the board to at least be on the right side of it." I nodded slowly. "You want me to go public?" He hesitated. "If you do, I won't stop you." That night, I didn't post anything online. I didn't need to. The next morning, I printed out a single-page document, scanned receipts, bank statements, and emails that Paul had anonymously forwarded me. Then I taped it to the HOA's clubhouse door. Community funds misused for unauthorized construction. See itemized expenses below. By noon, the HOA Facebook group was on fire. Residents were furious, demanding answers. Screenshots were flying. Clarissa tried to post a carefully worded denial, blaming miscommunication and a clerical error. But no one was buying it. By 6 p.m., the HOA vice president called an emergency vote. And just like that, Clarissa Davenport was removed as HOA president. No ceremony, no drama, just a single sentence posted in the group chat. Effective immediately, Clarissa Davenport is no longer affiliated with Pine Hollow HOA leadership. Her silence after that? Deafening. But I knew she wouldn't disappear without a fight. And I was right. Because the next morning, I found a drone hovering over my backyard. Watching. Started as a faint hum. Early morning, sun barely up, I was sipping black coffee on my back porch when I heard it. A low, mechanical buzz like a wasp trapped in a box. Then I saw it. A drone, hovering 30 feet in the air directly above my property line. Steady. Silent. Watching. first I thought it might be a hobbyist, maybe some teenager playing around. But the drone didn't move like someone experimenting. It was surgical, slow, deliberate passes over my fence, my shed, even pausing near my bedroom window. That wasn't a toy. It was a message. And I had a damn good idea who sent it. I didn't chase it down. Didn't even react. I wanted whoever was watching to think they were still in control. But inside, I was already planning my counterpunch. First, I installed 2 motion-activated trail cameras, camouflaged and silent. If they were going to watch me, I was going to record them too. Then I called my attorney, had her draft a cease and desist notice addressed not just to Clarissa, but any representative or agent acting on her behalf. That afternoon, I posted a large sign on my back fence. Private land, aerial trespass will be reported to the FAA. I wasn't bluffing either. I filed a formal complaint with the FAA. Drones above private land without consent? That's a federal issue. By the next morning, the drone was gone. But the pressure campaign had just begun. Clarissa's silence after being removed from the HOA had clearly shifted into stealth mode. Anonymous mail started arriving, HOA newsletters accidentally sent with sticky notes that said, "You're not welcome here." Petty. Desperate. And exactly what I expected. But she made one fatal mistake. She underestimated how much the community had turned. Because while she tried to make me the villain, more and more people were seeing the truth. Folks who had hiked those trails for years now understood that land wasn't theirs. They just took it for granted. And now they respected the boundary. Some even thanked me for protecting it. One older gentleman knocked on my door and handed me a pie. "Clarissa did this kind of thing in her last neighborhood too," he said. "But nobody had the guts to stand up to her. We're glad you did. It wasn't just my land now. It was a symbol of her downfall." And I wasn't done. Because the truth about Clarissa's trail reroute scheme was now public record, and a local journalist had picked up the story. She called it, "When the Hunter Bought the Mountain, One Man versus the HOA." It was going viral fast. And Clarissa? She was about to face something she couldn't fine or silence. A lawsuit. The news article hit local social media like wildfire. When the Hunter Bought the Mountain was shared, reshared, quoted in real estate forums, and even got picked up by a small regional blog. The comments? Brutal. Clarissa went from respected HOA president to suburban villain in less than 48 hours. You'd think she'd lay low. But Clarissa Davenport wasn't wired that way. A week later, I got a certified letter. Her attorney, a name I didn't recognize, had filed a civil complaint against me for community disruption, economic loss, and emotional distress. She was suing me for hurting her feelings. Marcy, my attorney, nearly spit her coffee out when she read it. "She's trying to flip the narrative," Marcy said. "Make it look like you weaponized your property to destroy community unity." "Can she win?" I asked. "Not unless the judge is legally blind and morally bankrupt," she replied. Till we had to respond. Court takes everything seriously, even ridiculous lawsuits. Marcy filed a response and, just for good measure, attached every record we had: the illegal fine, the forged expenses, the drone incident, now under FAA review, and a sworn affidavit from the HOA treasurer. Clarissa was playing checkers. We were playing chess. And then she made her final desperate move. She called a town hall meeting, not HOA sanctioned but public, to discuss the toxic influence I was allegedly spreading through Pine Hollow. She even booked a speaker podium and invited local media. I showed up. Not to argue. Just to watch. She took the stage, microphone in hand, in a cream-colored pantsuit like she was running for mayor. "For too long," she began, "this community has allowed outsiders to disrupt our unity. We cannot let one man hold our trails, our peace, hostage." She was careful, never named me directly. But everyone knew. Then she opened the floor. And something incredible happened. People started defending me. One woman stood up. Clarissa, with all due respect, you fined him illegally. Then you used HOA money without asking. You brought this on yourself. Another, he didn't destroy the trail. He bought the land. You tried to steal control of it and got caught. A retired vet from down the block added, he served this country. You tried to bully him with pink paper and fake power. The room turned on her. Completely. She tried to keep her smile, but her eyes flickered. It was over. The next day, her lawsuit was withdrawn voluntarily. No settlement. No apology. Just a line in a legal document that said, plaintiff chooses not to pursue the matter further. But the damage was done to her. And for the first time since this began, peace returned to Pine Hollow. But the final peace? That came in the form of a sign. One I posted myself. 1 week after Clarissa dropped the lawsuit, I walked up to the main entrance of the Bluff Trail, the place where this whole mess started, and posted a brand new polished wooden sign. It read, Private property, formerly community trail. Closed due to HOA harassment and abuse of authority. Beneath that, I added, respect the land. Respect its owner. I didn't post it out of spite. I posted it as a monument, a reminder of how far people will go when they think rules only apply to everyone else. Clarissa vanished from public life almost overnight. She stopped showing up to HOA events. Her listings as a realtor disappeared from every for sale sign in town. Rumor had it she moved out quietly one early morning, SUV loaded to the brim without saying goodbye. But I wasn't focused on her anymore. I was focused on rebuilding. Neighbors began stopping by, not with demands but with respect. One family asked if they could help replant native flowers along the ridge. Another offered to build a bench near the edge of the bluff, on my terms. No HOA involvement. I said yes, 'cause this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about restoration. The land had been misused, not by hikers but by arrogance. And I wanted it to breathe again. One afternoon, a young woman, probably in her early 20s, knocked on my door. Said her name was Ellie. Her father used to hike the trail every Sunday before he passed. I just wanted to say thank you, she said. For standing up. For not backing down. I told her the truth. I didn't fight to punish anyone, I said. I fought because if I let them steal 1 inch, they'd come for everything. Ellie smiled, nodded, and left a small mason jar on my porch before she walked away. Inside it, wildflowers. The next morning, I planted them at the highest point of my ridge, right where her father used to sit. Weeks passed. No more drones. No fines. No pink envelopes. Just silence. Beautiful, well-earned silence. But there was one last twist in this story. One day, I got a certified letter from the county land office. It included a notice. An anonymous party attempted to rezone the Bluff Trail area as public utility land. Your ownership blocked the attempt. No action needed. I didn't have to guess who the anonymous party was. Clarissa had tried to sneak in one final move from the shadows, an end run through bureaucracy. And she failed. Because no matter how many tricks she pulled, the land had already chosen its defender. And I wasn't going anywhere. Fall came early that year. The leaves along the ridge turned amber and crimson, blanketing the trail in the quiet kind of beauty that doesn't ask for attention. Just offers it to anyone willing to slow down and notice. But this time, the only footsteps on that trail were mine. It had been months since Clarissa's final zoning stunt failed. Since the HOA surrendered their leash on Pine Hollow. Since peace finally returned to my land. But I wasn't done. 'Cause what Clarissa never understood, and what most people still don't, is that power isn't about control. It's about responsibility. And I wasn't just the owner of this land now. I was its guardian. So I did something unexpected. I called a town meeting. Not at the HOA clubhouse. Not with board members or rules. Just an open invite, handwritten and pinned at the local coffee shop, grocery store, and post office. The invite read, Bluff Ridge Gathering, a talk about what comes next. I expected 10 people. Over 30 showed up. Old hikers. Young families. Curious neighbors who once avoided me. Even Paul, the ex-treasurer, came with his teenage son. I stood by the old trailhead, the one where Clarissa once tried to claim control, and spoke plainly. I bought this land because someone tried to take my rights away. But I'm keeping it because I realized something more important. This land doesn't just belong to me. It belongs to all of us. Murmurs. Nods. Eyes wide. But not like before, I added. No board. No politics. No fake fines. Just stewardship. Together. And with that, I unveiled the new sign. Bluff Ridge Community Preserve, privately owned, open by permission. No HOA control. Just respect and responsibility. There was a silence. Then applause. Real, heartfelt, tearful applause. I handed out trail access passes, small laminated tags, to every resident who attended. With one rule, if you misuse the land, you lose access. No arguments. No politics. Just personal accountability. It was the kind of justice Clarissa never understood. Weeks later, I saw kids playing near the creek again. Families hiking. No trash. No complaints. Just community. One morning, I found a note pinned to the new sign. No signature. Just one sentence. You turned a war into something beautiful. Thank you. I didn't need to know who wrote it. Because that message? That was my real victory. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming peace. And protecting it, not through fines or fear, but through integrity. So to the next HOA president who thinks they can bully their way through private land, good luck. 'Cause now Bluff Ridge stands taller than ever. And I'm still watching from the top.